テレ東ビズ。
Tower is not looked at and associated with the Olympics at all. They actually look at the TV tower in a very different light.
So, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice to meet you.
Tokyo.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, could you please?
Thank you.
And he's the cameraman.
Yeah, nice.
We are based in President Biden described inhuman behavior of Russian troops, the genocide. But there are other readers describing just war crime. Now, how do you see?
For us, of course, it is very problematic that Russia has started this unprovoked and unjustified war against a sovereign and independent country in Europe, against Ukraine. So, and as it's taking place here in our region, then of course we follow all the developments very carefully. And with regard to these brutal killings and torturing and raping of Ukrainian women, children, and of course men at the moment is very worrisome, of course. And we have also supported the investigation of ICC with this regard. And as we have seen that there is a systematic killing of particular groups of people, particularly Ukrainians, then we definitely see that there are elements of genocide. And we truly hope that ICC will quickly start with all the evaluations and investigations with this regard, and would give the appropriate answer what's going on the place, and also, of course, that all war criminals would be taken into the court. This justice is very important.
So is it a kind of genocide, not just genocide?
Of course, it is a court who decides the final, who has the final word on this, but absolutely there are elements of genocide, what we have seen based on current news and information that we have from the ground.
Okay, the next question. So looking at the current behavior of Russian troops and Russian government as a neighboring country, so Estonia, what sense do you feel this inhuman behavior?
We consider that the security situation in Europe as a whole is changed. And of course, we are very much worried about it because Estonia is a small country. For small countries, the rules-based world order is very important. And at the moment, we see that there is huge violations of international law, violations of all the agreements on which the security of Europe is based on. And of course, in addition, all these inhuman killings in Ukraine, these make us very worrisome. And we have raised this question in different international formats, of course within the EU and NATO, but also in the formats where the Russian Federation is a member of, like the United Nations. Also, from our perspective, it is very important to isolate politically Russia from the international organizations because they have violated rules-based order. Clearly, we see that this aggressive behavior is problematic for world peace and security.
How important is the presence of NATO for small countries?
Estonia chose to become a member of NATO already end of 90s, and we are really glad that since 2004 we are a member of NATO, because for us, for our society, it is very important that together with other NATO allies we can protect our democratic society. And as it was agreed already at the last NATO summit in June last year, Russia poses threat to democracies in Europe. Then, of course, the more robust presence of NATO allies here in Estonia is very important for us.
So, is NATO enough to protect your country?
NATO is the strongest defense alliance in the world, and we truly believe that together we are strong enough to protect every inch of NATO's territory, including here in Estonia. Yes, Estonia has, of course, its own defense forces as well, and we are also increasing the capabilities of our own defense forces. We also have increased the budget from 2% to 2.3% to 2.5% from the GDP. And together with NATO, we At the moment, we are adjusting our defense plans. 2%. Yes, the standard is 2%.
Estonia has a border, so with Russia, so in the eastern side of Estonia, and so Japan, has a border, but just on the sea. What role do you expect for Japan?
Yes, we are located in each other side of Russia, and we have really been very much worried what's going on or how Russia has approached its neighbors and how it has violated international law. Therefore, from our perspective, it is important to put pressure on Russia to stop these violations of international law, to stop aggression in Ukraine, withdraw troops from Ukraine, and therefore these sanctions that we have adopted at the EU level and with which also Japan and other like-minded countries have joined are very important because it seems that together with political pressure, we also have put economic pressure to Russia to show that this kind of violations of international law are not acceptable.
So how much sanction is enough to stop the Russian aggression?
This is, of course, very difficult to assess what would be this last element that would help to end the war. But for us, or from our perspective, it is really important to put pressure on the finances that Russia receives from the Western countries because with these finances, Russia finances its war in Ukraine. And therefore, I think that we must be ready for long-term pressure so that Russia would not have enough finances to support this war any longer. And of course, we truly hope that there would be that the sooner the better the end wars of the war ends. Of course, is important, especially for civilians on the ground. But at the moment, we have not seen enough willingness to end this war by Russia's side.
At the moment, so Finland and Sweden and so other small countries want to join NATO and they're thinking also joining NATO. So is this decision understandable?
Estonia has always been a supporter of NATO's open door policies. And we think that both NATO's and EU's open door policies have been successful. We can say it based on our own experiences. Estonia is kind of a border country between democracy and autocracy. But I think that it's not a problem because we are a member of NATO, we are a member of the EU. Therefore, we are part of this democratic world and enjoy all the benefits of democratic world. And of course, as at the moment we have seen that the security environment in Europe has changed, then it is quite logical that other democracies also would like to join NATO because the main idea of NATO is to defend democracies. And therefore, from our perspective, of course, the bigger NATO alliance is, the more democracies are protected. But of course, this final decision of Finland and Sweden must be taken by those people.
There's a lot of Russian-speaking people in Estonia. So I assume that it is kind of difficult to make the solidarity or like that.
Yes, in Estonia we have a Russian-speaking community, which is about 27-28% of the Estonian population. And the majority of them are also Estonian citizens. So we don't consider them as residents, but as our own citizens. And also Russian-speaking community, it is very diverse. Some of them are really integrated into Estonian society. They are participating in our political life. They are members of the parliament, for example. So they are creating our policies. Of course, there are also people who are more following Russian media and might be also more affected by the fake news and misleading news from Russia. And of course, our government, especially now during the war in Ukraine, we try to reach out more to these people and explain what is going on in Ukraine and who is aggressor in this conflict. But let me recall that when on the 26th of February, we had a huge gathering here in Estonia. About 30,000 people came together to support Ukraine in this very beginning of this unjustified war. These people were a big mixture of different nationalities living here in Estonia.
Estonia announced their plan for the future.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we plan to do it during this year, and it is related to Russia's gas. And so currently we are preparing to build a floating gas terminal in Paldiski port so that we can smoothly finish the import of Russia's gas. Yeah.
But the Estonian people can accept the price inflation affected by the stopping the Russian oil?
Yes, it has definitely a socio-economic effect to our society, but it is still cheaper than the war.